Liftoff.
Operating safety beam now. Hello and welcome everyone to this live launch of the Thunderbird 3 diecast collectible, available to pre-order now at gerryanderson.com. My name is Jack Knoll and I'm joined this evening by Chris Thompson and Andrew Clements, also known as AC. Welcome everybody. How are you both doing this evening?
We're doing good. We're hot.
Yes, we are very hot.
Yeah, hot enough to be on a rocket towards the sun, perhaps?
Absolutely.
It's getting unbearable.
I hope it's not unbearable this early on. But if you are in the chat watching us live, feel free to get involved in the conversation. Say hello, leave us a comment, let us know you're watching, and I don't know, maybe tell us which Thunderbird 3 rescue mission is your favorite. Of course, the Heatwave being what it is, I'm sure Sun Probe is probably at the top of most people's minds, but I don't know, Chris and AC, any other particular favorite Thunderbird 3 moments that you want to kick us off with?
I always have a soft spot for Ricochet because it was an episode that I managed to miss 3 times and only was able to see when the DVDs came out. So it was almost like for about 8 to 9 years of my life, it was this mythical lost episode of Thunderbirds.
Wow, that's exciting. Yeah, I mean, for me, Ricochet, I remember fondly from the Super Space Theater compilation movie Thunderbirds in Outer Space. Be very curious to know if that was a lot of people's first experience of that episode. What about you, AC? Any other Thunderbird 3 moments?
Weirdly enough, I think it's The Imposters. It was about the 3rd or 4th episode that I ever saw, and the first time that I saw Thunderbird 3 in anything. And I just thought, ooh, here's something that I haven't seen before. And because it's rare, it's automatically so much cooler than everything else. So I think at that moment, from that point on, Thunderbird 3 was so much cooler than Thunderbird 2, in my opinion. And I will die on that hill.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you're in the right place then, because goodness me, do we have a big old Thunderbird 3 themed stream for you this evening. So, coming up, we will, of course, be taking a close look at the new Thunderbird 3 diecast collectible, exploring some of the secrets behind its design, and even we'll be doing a bit of an unboxing live on the air. So look forward to that. But also, we're going to be digging into some other Thunderbirds news. Perhaps, maybe, I don't know, some 4K episode restorations. That sort of thing sound good to you? Maybe a look at Thunderbird's hidden dangers, perhaps, and perhaps some more models and collectibles that Thunderbirds fans can't do without. So lots to look forward to there. And of course, that's not all, because I'm joined, of course, by Chris and AC, who are the authors of the upcoming Thunderbirds International Rescue Technical Operations Manual. And therefore, I think they're quite qualified to tell us a little bit about the technical specifications of Thunderbird 3. So we're going to take a close look at the operations and the crew and all that sort of thing. And at the very end, at the grand finale to tonight's stream, I've got a bit of a quiz planned, a fiendish quiz to test Chris and AC's knowledge of all things Thunderbird 3. So look forward to that. And of course, everyone in the chat is very welcome to take part in that as well. How's that sound, chaps? Sounds like a packed evening, doesn't it?
Sounds good, F.A.B.
All right. Well, let's get started. Let's take a look at a quick video
which should get everyone intimately acquainted with the new Thunderbird 3 collectible. Take a look at this. It's a very lovely looking thing, if I say so myself. Now, I believe you two chaps had a part in the design process of this particular model. Can you tell us a little bit about your involvement while I show off some lovely pictures?
Yeah, so Thunderbird 3 came hot off the heels of doing Thunderbird 1. So basically, how we tend to do these things is I'll send a 3D model through to Hull and Ale, who are like do all the manufacturing and sort of intricacies in the tooling, and I'll send them that, and I'll send them like a color guide, and then from that, they'll start sending us back, prototypes, and we'll do iterative versions of the design. Thunderbird 3 has actually been one of the more complicated versions of this because it's all the times throughout the series it turns up, it's different. So like when you see it in the titles, it looks different from when it launches because the launch model has an entirely different detail. In Sun Probe, it's like they had it half finished, and then in some shots, and then they put a lot of the detail on in other shots. And then like going all the way up to Ricochet, it loses a lot of the detail and gains a couple of other extra details, and you can sort of see that in the movies as well. So trying to work out what the perfect Thunderbird 3 is was actually quite a bit of a challenge. And I have a couple of prototypes to sort of help show this.
Yes.
So this is what we started with. People might have seen on my Instagram when we were doing some of the effects for Doctor Who, we actually took this with us and did some shots with it flying. And funnily enough, this was done before I sent in the color design. So what they did was they took the version of Thunderbird 3 that launches through the roundhouse, the small model with the Helvetica 3 on the side, and they based one off that one. So we started with this one. There's a couple more prototypes, one of which AC has back in house, and the other one Ryan Wade has. We realized that we need to go a little bit more sort of subtle with a lot of the panels and details. So we actually sent a prototype out to model maker Richard Ashton, who I do a lot of work with on the Doctor Who and Blake Seven side. And through that, we came with this, which needed a couple of tweaks, but basically it sort of got all the panels and detailing where we sort of wanted it. And this is a lot darker. It's probably the most dirty Thunderbird 3 that we have. And this, oddly enough, is very much what you would expect to see at the end of Sun Probe, or when it returns to Earth in, I think it might be AC Ricochet, is it? Whenever you see the landing shot?
Yeah, the landing shot in Ricochet, it is quite filthy in that
it's
shot,
filthy.
really.
But my worry was it was too dark on display when you put it on the other one. So we did one more prototype, and that brought us to this one, which is the final one. And this is much more based on the titles. So when you see the this, like, we've got the dirt patches that come down here, we've got the little dirt patches like on the front, and then we've just done all this intricate detailing that Richard had designed on the actual area around here for the paneling, and then trying to work out, okay, because there's different bands with the blue in the middle, like sometimes they're like segmented, sometimes they're different. It ended up being a surprise, probably the most complicated process that we've been on since we did one of these models. But like, I received this in the post the other day, and Ross has done a beautiful little teaser video of it. I am really proud of how it's turned out.
Yeah, it looks wonderful. And it's great that you went through so many iterations to try and get it to the version that everyone hopefully wants to see.
It's
Because
the
as you
one
say,
that people see the most, I think, is that title one. And it's like, because it's interesting watching the intro that you did in Ross's video, because like if you compare it to the big 6 foot model, it's the 6 foot model got all this raised detailing. There's a much more red in it rather than just kind of like the sort of reddy orange that it is. It's got the ring around here, which the titles model doesn't have, or the Sunprobe one. So this really tries to zero in on like kind of the definitive Thunderbird 3, kind of what we did with 1. But yeah, hopefully it sort of gives that impression of because like I've said before, I don't want to just produce yet another Thunderbird 3 toy. When people have this on their shelf, I want them to feel like the miniature. And that's why we do spend so much time working out all these panel lines and how much is too much and should we dial it back, should we go forward. So hopefully people enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm sure they will. So to let everyone know, this is available to pre-order right now on the Gerry Anderson store at a special price for this weekend. You can actually save about 20% if you order now, because the price will go up from it's $99.99 right now, and it will go up to $124.99. So it's well worth getting your orders in early if you want one of these, because also it's limited edition, limited to 2,000 units worldwide, and we all know that Thunderbirds is very, very popular, so I would expect this one to disappear quite quickly, so you don't want to miss out. Now, a few technical specifications, because I know people like that sort of thing. It is made of die-cast metal and ABS plastic, and it measures at 330 millimeters long, so quite a bigger
than my head.
Yes, if you measure your items in Chris Thompson heads, it is about 1.5 Chris Thompson heads. And it also comes with a lovely display base showing a lovely moonscape, which is rather good fun. And of course, as AC was showing us just now as well, it comes in a lovely display box full of technical specifications and, of course, a certificate of authenticity. AC, would you like to do a grand unboxing for us so that we can
be
have
delighted.
a look? Let me adjust the camera so that everyone can see you. There we are.
Well, we have what has become the standard range box for the Anderson Entertainment models. So we have the craft here, and on the reverse, we've got the back of the craft. Like all of the other Thunderbirds ones, it's got the Scott Tracy graphic on the side, and it does have the magnetic clasp on the flap at the front here. So we've got that. Technical specifications on the top here. And I'm going to try and do this as good as possible. So let's
don't drop it. Whatever you do, don't drop it.
It's pretty hardy, to be fair.
Yeah. So we've got, of course, our top layer of protective foam, which will give us Thunderbird 3 in here, which is also held in place by 3 smaller segments of foam. So there's one in the nose cone. Take that one off. We have one in the central section, which we can also take off, and one towards the reactor housing at the back, which gives us this. Trying to do this very gingerly so I don't tip it out of its box. But you can tell already it looks pretty darn impressive like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the box down very slightly here so I'm not tipping this lovely model out. And I mean, the foam in this is fantastic. If you've got any other ones of the models in this range, you'll know how securely the foam holds these in place. So Thunderbird 3, as Chris has shown off already, it does look fantastic. It's very, very nice. It's also bigger than my head, just in case anyone was wondering. Just so you know you're getting your money's worth. So with Thunderbird 3 taken out of the packaging, you can see here that we have nice indentations for it to sit very snugly and securely. There are actually 3 more layers of foam here. I'm not going to show you each of them individually because, let's face it, they are just layers of foam. But
they look very nice.
They do look very nice. We've got
for making your Thunderbird 3 themed cookies.
Exactly. Yes. And why do we not have more Thunderbirds themed cookies? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Now the final layer here is a little cutout slot for the one of the boosters to sit in. So we'll take that out. And as you may have guessed, and as Jack and Chris have already said, we do have a little display base in the bottom of the box here with a lovely little moonskip on it. So that will be a similar sort of shape as the Thunderbird 1 base that we've had previously with the previous model. And Thunderbird 3 just pops on, looks very nice on its little display base, and it sort of calls back to one of Chris's lovely CGI images of Thunderbird 3 sitting on the moon, which is also included in the technical manual.
To be fair, there is a top-down image of Thunderbird 3 in the manual, which kind of shows off its cargo bay, but it is that background it's sitting on. So if he wants to recreate that shot, there you go.
Excellent. Now, somebody in the chat said it looks terrific and a must-have alongside the others. And of course, yes, it's worth mentioning that this is one of many Thunderbird craft in the diecast collectible range. Chris, it looks like you've got a few of them behind you right now. Can you run us through some of the others and how maybe this one compares?
Sure. So I need to point out these are actually prototypes because I always keep the prototypes. I do have the final versions in the house, but yeah, we started with Thunderbird 2, and this was a few years ago now at this point, and this really seemed to go down quite well with people. Yeah, but interestingly, like since here, we ended up learning a bit more about how to do the process and things. So that brought us to Thunderbird 4.
A natural progression from Thunderbird 2, of course.
Yes,
of course.
And again, this is when we really also started trying to get the sort of the stressing matching. This one's a bit different because of the prototype is a much darker window on it, and some of the panel details are different. But like with this was kind of trying to key into a particular shot from Atlantic Inferno. Yeah, again, people seem to have enjoyed this one. And then my personal favorites. It's no secret that I'm a bit of a Thunderbird 1 head. And so we put together this one, and I'm super happy with how this one turned out, because there really hadn't been an attempt to do that. All the Thunderbird 1s have been very much an idea, a vibe of Thunderbird 1. Whereas this time, while we did make some concessions, this was really to try and focus on the mostly seen model, the launch one. So you have the TB1 in the right place. You've got the little cutout where they would have taken off the thing to put the rocket boosters in. And yeah, and then getting all the, I think another Richard Ashton helping us with the detail on the blue section. So yeah, so we've done 4 Thunderbirds up to now. We've done a collection of other Gerry Anderson models, and there's more in the pipeline.
Certainly are. And I have to say, this Thunderbird 3 really is an absolute treat. And of course, people are probably wondering, well, if I pre-order today, when will I get it? Well, I have been given the estimated shipment date of late summer 2026. And, you know, we're already in early summer, so you won't have to wait too long to get hold of your lovely Thunderbird 3.
That also does give you an idea of size. If you have the Thunderbird 1, then Thunderbird 3 is just slightly taller. But right. They're chunky.
Yeah, they are very nice. Very nice indeed.
I should also point out that while I was doing my unboxing there, although this version that I have doesn't have a certificate of authenticity included, the version that you purchase will have one. Just in case anybody was wondering why there wasn't one in the box, the version that you buy will have one, so don't worry about that.
Thank you for pointing that out.
It is funny because, like, just as we were starting the manual, I did dig this out. The stream, I did dig this out, and everyone will know what this is. This is the old Matchbox Thunderbird 3 from back in the day, and I do remember watching Give or Take a Million, like the episode, and there's that scene in the opening with the kid and Jeff, and they're talking about, like, oh, here are the Thunderbirds, like, which one do you like? And I think in my head, because I hadn't quite connected to the fact that these were puppets because I was so young, I always was like, oh, I want a big Thunderbird that size. And I know they were like just toys from the time that just ended up being really big. But I think in hindsight, it's just one of those really weird sort of career moments where it kind of happens, and next thing you know, like, you're making pretty ginormous Thunderbird models for the fan base to have the same sort of thing that I'd always wanted as a kid. So yeah,
that's what we like. I mean, we're big kids at the end of the day. I mean, sure, we can call them collectible models and things like that, but you know,
Well, it's always like whenever I see the little trailers that Ross puts together, it is like they do look pretty good on camera. Like if people
my
want to
goodness.
take them out and do some shots with them, go for it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes, that would be fantastic. Yes, I'd love to see that. Now we have to divert away from Thunderbird 3 briefly, but don't worry, we'll be back because I do have some more news to excite us all. Now, do we all remember the 4K release of the Thunderbirds episodes Terror in New York City and Trapped in the Sky?
Certainly do. It was a fantastic showing. Chris and I went to see it in the cinema, and I think a jolly good time was had by all.
Well, what if I was to tell you that there are a couple more on the way? And what if I was to tell you that the episodes that are coming next in the 4K Collector's Edition range are Atlantic Inferno and Attack of the Alligators? And what if I were to show you the artwork for the 4K Steelbook, which I have right here?
Wow.
Yeah.
I have not seen this yet. This looks amazing.
Yeah, so similar to the previous release, it's sort of double-sided, so I can kind of show you. I've got another image here that gives you a kind of good impression of, like, on one side, very Atlantic Inferno, the other side, very Attack of the Alligators. And of course, these are going to be 4K restorations. Let me pull up my details here. Yes, so we're looking at brand new 4K scans taken from scratch from the original elements, as well as a brand new optional 5.1 surround mix alongside the original mono audio as well. And what if I were to tell you that not only is this coming to 4K Blu-ray, but also Thunderbirds is going back to cinemas in the UK. There is going to be a range of showings of these two episodes in 4K. Dates and venues still to be confirmed, but I would suggest go and ask your local cinemas, are you going to show Thunderbirds when it comes out? That'll let them know that you're interested, because I think everyone had a lot of fun watching Thunderbirds in 4K in the cinemas across the UK last time around. So I would say stay tuned for that. More news on that coming very soon. How does that sound, chaps? You're going to be
amazing.
That sounds very good.
Piling into the cinemas to watch Atlantic Inferno and Attack of the Alligators?
Absolutely.
Can't wait for that. Now, that's not all. More Thunderbirds news coming, because we do, of course, have Thunderbirds Hidden Dangers coming up. And I think I'm joined by the right person, or the right people, really, to give us information on that. AC, you are sort of the range producer of Thunderbirds Hidden Dangers. For people who don't know, what can you tell us? What is Thunderbirds Hidden Dangers?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that, Jack, because I'm going to have to not look at any cue cards and say this as if it's just coming fresh to my mind. No, I kid. Thunderbirds Hidden Dangers is a multi-platform narrative that essentially gives us brand new Thunderbirds adventures across a variety of media, a little bit like what we did with Stingray Deadly Uprising back in 2024. So it's new adventures, but a slight spin on it this time. Instead of being a brand new narrative that is set within the universe of the series, the majority of the stories actually connect in one way or another to existing stories. So that could be perhaps they're a prequel to an existing story. Maybe they take place concurrently, something happening off screen at the same time, or it could be a sequel. Maybe there was a plot thread that was left hanging and was never addressed in the series, and that was just sort of ripe to pick that up as an additional story and expand that. And I think really, while Stingray was very linear and told a single story through multiple sub-stories, the difference and the great thing about Hidden Dangers is that you can actually experience any of these stories as individual self-contained tales without missing anything, really. You don't have to experience the entire narrative, although that would be nice and especially epic if you did. But if you just want to pick up one or two of the releases, you'll still have a really good time, and you won't feel like you're missing something if you don't have the entire thing.
That's great. And one of the stories that we're going to be talking about is Burnout, which some people may have seen before, but it's worth recapping. Chris, I believe this one is your baby, as it were. I'm going to show a couple of images here.
Yeah, so I've told a story before, but I guess to reiterate, if people follow me, like back in probably the early 2010s, they would know me from, and AC to a degree, a fan film that we did called Thunderbirds 2010. And it starred Shane Rimmer, and it had me and my friend Guy and AC, and it ended on a cliffhanger with this ship, the Ocean Pioneer 3, sailing into a storm, and my brother declaring that nothing could possibly go wrong. And amusingly, while obviously it's completely separate to that old fan film and it's his own independent story, as a kid, I had written this story about international rescue having to deal with so many rescues and becoming slowly overwhelmed that their personnel and their ships were starting to fail and they were starting to make mistakes. And what happens to them? Like, how do they overcome that? And what happens if they just have one rescue too many? And that sort of is the core of Burnout. It's sort of a partly on the sort of burning out in terms of losing energy and all that stuff, but also there's a big massive explosion and fire and things like that. It's sort of tied into Perils of Penelope and the formula that's the sort of this core center of that story. And it's being brought to life by Connor Flanagan, who you'd know from Operation Sabre and Deep Blue Z and Space Precinct. And Connor, in his true artistic style, has given it 200% as always. So
Yeah,
every single
look at this
page.
shot. It is extraordinary. That is beautiful artwork, I have to say.
Every single page is just a sight to behold. Like, he's really taken an effort to get the character likenesses down, but then he'll be able to capture the likenesses, but they're doing different expressions, which is a really difficult thing to be able to zero in on. And you do find in the plethora of Thunderbirds comics out there that, like, there can be artists that can be somewhat successful with that, or they would specialize in other things. But Connor's done a really lovely way of make it always feel like you're watching Thunderbirds. Like, Steve Kite is probably the closest I could sort of compare it to, and you feel like, oh, the production design is there as you remember it, and it's nice and vibrant. But yeah, no, I can't say enough nice things about the work that Connor's done.
Yeah, it is lovely. And AC, that's not all that's coming from Hidden Dangers. There's lots of other stories to be told. Can you tease anything else that might be coming up?
Oh, I don't know. Am I allowed to tease anything? Will I get told off for teasing? I'm sure I could tease. It's fine.
You're the boss.
Thank you. Burnout, as Chris has said, is going to be it's a self-contained story that takes place over 4 issues of a comic, and it tells a little story that ties in with the Perils of Penelope. It's going to be fantastic. As you've seen from the artwork, Connor's done an amazing job with it. And I actually think the idea behind that is genius. And it's one that I kind of wish we'd seen on screen. And I'm so glad we get that story now. But in terms of additional stories, we have 2 other releases coming out. One of them is Thunderbirds Hidden Dangers International Rescues, which is a short story anthology collection of 10 individual stories, each centered around a different original premise from the series, written by 10 people, and they are all wildly different from each other, but all very exciting. So that will be coming out. One of the early releases in the overall narrative, and you can read the stories in any order, but there is a little bit at the start of the book that will tell you where each one takes place in relation to various episodes of the series. So if you want to follow a strict order, because as we all know and are very familiar with, the official episode order, shall we say, of Thunderbirds is fluid at best.
Tricky. Yeah.
So you've got production order, you've got broadcast order, you've got other recommended orders that reorder some of the episodes. So we thought, rather than say definitively, you must read them in this order, we sort of decided it's really up to the reader how they would like to experience this, what order they would prefer to do it in. And I think that just makes it a little bit fairer, I suppose, for everyone. So we've got Hidden Dangers International Rescues, and then we also have a Hidden Dangers comic anthology, which is, again, 10 other stories in comic form, each of them self-contained and separate from Burnout. So people may remember that we did something similar for Stingray. We had about 10 comic stories for Stingray that were released in two different ways, actually. They were tied in with another overarching Stingray comic anthology, which was split into 2 volumes, and then they were re-released separately. We're not going to do this time around. People may know that we've already got a couple of Thunderbirds comic anthologies out already, Volume 1 and Volume 2 of the TV Century 21 comics. This time, we've listened to people's feedback. I think what people generally thought about it last time was it was maybe a little bit confusing having some of the new Stingray stories in with the older material, which is absolutely fair enough. This is how you learn by doing. This time around, we're going to release it as a separate independent volume that only has the new Thunderbird stories as a volume of 10 in their own anthology. The artwork is fantastic. I'm working with a lot of very, very talented writers and artists and a fantastic line editor on this. More details will be revealed in due course, but I am beyond excited for people to see some of this material. It's right up there with Connor's artwork for Burnout, and it is just, I'd love to give so many details. Like, my head is going a mile a minute at the moment, just thinking of all the different panels and shots and various things. The one thing I will tease is that there is something that we have already discussed on the stream so far this evening, has a very strong link to one of these comic stories, but that is all I'm going to say for now. More details to follow.
All right. Well, looking forward to that. Yes, I'm looking forward to the variety that you mentioned, because that's what Thunderbirds offers as a TV show, is so much variety. You know, like we've said, like, people have their favorite space rescue missions or their favorite Thunderbird for underwater rescues and things like that. Like, every episode of Thunderbirds is so special and unique. So the fact that you're kind of transferring that same ethos into the comic anthology and the short stories and everything is one to look out for. So very much looking forward to that. Thank you for teasing us, and I'm sure there will be more news to follow on that. Now, just to round out our news section for today, I do also have a couple of other products that I'd like to tease from the Gerry Anderson store. I'll promise to just go over these really, really quickly. We do have the Thunderbirds Sea and Space Rescue Model Kit coming soon, and it looks a little bit like this. So what you get included in this particular model kit is unpainted, unfinished, ready to be assembled model kit of Thunderbird 3 in 1/500th scale, Thunderbird 4 in 1/72, Thunderbird 5 in 1/800 scale, which also includes its own mini Thunderbird 3 that can dock with Thunderbird 5. So very much making sure everything is included in there. And this is from Belfine, and it's alongside the existing range of Belfine model kits with Thunderbird 1 and 2 already available on the Gerry Anderson store. This is the next in line, and I just want to show you a couple of images of these. So what I love about these is obviously they are unfinished model kits, so fans will be able to adapt them and get them to look exactly the way that they want them to look. So if you're like, I prefer the font on Thunderbird 3 when it's in this particular episode, you can finish the model to look like that and have that particular paint scheme. So that's the flexibility you get with model kits like this. However, if you're a bit more like me and you are not very handy and you're not very good with model kits, then maybe more your type of thing would be the anniversary models, which are also available in the Anderson Originals
line. These are similar sort of size, but they come nicely finished and detailed. They're essentially a smaller, shrunk down version of the die-cast models. So trying to cater for every sort of budget and everyone's shelf space in particular. Some of us do have limited shelf space, so we can't necessarily collect every single model. These are a nice kind of smaller alternative for people who still want to collect every Thunderbird. And I believe, Chris, you have one of those models in front of you right now.
Yeah. So this one is about half the size of my head, just to give you that kind of angle. But they're really, really cute. They're really satisfying because I've got Thunderbird 2 here, and it comes with the the leg, so you can just pop them in and out, which is quite nice. It means that you don't have to worry about the traditional clicking in and out, and the pod is magnetized in place and it pops out. But one thing I do appreciate, the pod door doesn't open, but it's the first Thunderbird 2 I've seen to have the back door on the pod, which I really appreciate, because some of them do in fact have it. Yeah.
In fact, do you know what, Chris? Just since we've got those models up on the screen at the moment, I found out entirely by accident, folks, that if you have the Thunderbird 1 anniversary model there, and you have the deluxe Thunderbird 2 model, which was the first one in the range, and then you get our Thunderbird 3 deluxe model, all three of these are actually in pretty much perfect scale with each other. You wouldn't think it looking at it, because Thunderbird 1 ends up being about this big compared to Thunderbird 3. But if you take the scales as 90 feet, 250 feet, and 287 feet, respectively, they are all in scale with each other, which I'm
trying to do the shot at the end of the road, and I can't quite remember how it goes together.
That's the one. And as a huge nerd about these sort of things, it made me feel really satisfied.
I love that. That's great. I'm so glad.
And then if you have the little Matchbox Thunderbird 4.
Yeah, that would really finish things off nicely. Oh, that's great. Yeah, so those are the Thunderbirds anniversary models available now from the Gerry Anderson store. But if you're like, I don't need models, I've got too many Thunderbirds models already. I need something small to somehow represent my love of all things Thunderbirds. Well, how about this? This is a Thunderbirds gold-plated badge set with artwork by the wonderful Lee Sullivan, illustrating all 5 Thunderbird craft there. Each badge measures about 35 millimeters in length and beautifully finished in 15-karat gold plating. So they all look very, very premium. This one is limited to 500 sets. So if you want one of these, I recommend that you get in there and really you pick these up, because I quite like these. I like a pin badge, and I think these look very nice. And of course, they come with a certificate of authenticity as well. So very nice premium luxury item there. And that is the end of our not quite QVC segment. Lots of great things available from the Gerry Anderson store. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick break. And then after we come back, we're going to dive into some real Thunderbird 3 specifications. If you like your facts and figures and everything about the inner workings of how international rescue operate, then stay tuned, because we're going to be chatting all about that after this short break. See you in a bit.
Check video.
I just did. It's getting pretty tense.
A lot of time and effort has gone into this project.
No, let me go, Colonel, please.
This time we're gonna do it. What is it?
The lunar controller has declared an emergency. Lunarville 7 has been evacuated.
Well, it looks like he's a Mr. On agent. Action stations. Wonder what it can be.
I don't know, but let's go.
The tables are turned. The manhunt for Captain Black is on.
It was a foregone conclusion that Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons would fit the sci-fi compilation format perfectly.
I'm the obvious choice.
Mission accomplished.
That's great news. Thank you for everything.
At last, I have outwitted international rescue. Their plans are secret no longer.
International rescue from Thunderbird 1. This is an emergency. Our most closely guarded secrets have been stolen by an enemy agent, and the security of our entire organization is at risk. The technical details of our island base, the Thunderbirds, our auxiliary equipment, and even mission reports are compromised.
If this organization is not security tight, it cannot remain functional. You know that.
There's one chance. I'm going to try and force him off the road. I've done it. And I don't think that guy's in any fit state to try a stunt like that again. I'm going in to retrieve the technical manual now.
Well, I think we can all be glad that Scott saved the day and got hold of the International Rescue Technical Manual and spared us from it falling into the clutches of the hood. I love that trailer. That was really nicely put together. Welcome back,
Shout
everyone.
out to AC and Justin for that one.
Yeah, that was really nice. Well done, sir. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're enjoying our special Thunderbird 3 themed stream this evening. We are, of course, looking at the diecast collectible Thunderbird 3, which is available to pre-order now from the Gerry Anderson store. But I thought, since I am joined by the co-authors of the Thunderbirds technical manual, we could maybe have a little bit of a chat about Thunderbird 3 and sort of how it functions and how it operates and its crew and sort of what its function is within international rescue as a whole. So I'm going to start perhaps by bringing up a page from the technical manual showing Thunderbird 3's launch sequence. I was wondering, Chris and AC, whether you could talk us through what the process was of looking at Thunderbird 3 as it launches on screen and trying to work out how does that work? Because I'm sure there are a few things that maybe bring up questions that people want answered. So take it away.
Yeah, so to be honest, Thunderbird 3 is actually one of the ones which is quite straightforward, because there's this, whenever you look at Thunderbird 1 and 2, there's certain aspects to them where you have to do a bit of fudging, like Thunderbird 1's launch bay not quite fitting in the villa is sort of the big one. Because in theory, like, you know, Thunderbird 1 is quite a bit above Scott when he comes out, but it's also, the villa can't be that tall. Whereas Thunderbird 3, they do very much just the only thing that was a bit difficult to kind of parse was the way that the two sofas swapped, Because if you see whenever they go down, one goes up, but it's not going to fit in the spot where the other one does. So yeah, we talk a little bit about that. One of the things I really wanted to do, the actual launch silo is covered on a different page because we actually do the silos all separately. But here, what I really wanted to focus on was actually this Apollo 11 style shot of Thunderbird 3 launching through the roundhouse. Because I really, anything I can do to make the Thunderbirds feel real, I try to do, and I really love that sort of iconic shot of Apollo 11. And I thought it'd just be really lovely to have Thunderbird 3, but if you look really closely, you can see the ice falling off it as it would have had because it needs to be cooled before it launches and all those little bits and bobs. So, yeah, and then just touching on what the landing procedure is, because what you don't see in the series is what they would presumably have to do is inspect the vehicle every time it launches and lands and having to clean up the launch bay and all that sort of thing. Like Thunderbird 3 probably doesn't launch that often compared to a lot of the other ones. Like it launches regularly, but it doesn't have to launch as much as Thunderbird 1 would, for example. So, yeah, so you have to talk about a little bit about that sort of procedure as well, because it's a technical operations manual. So the operations side of things is quite important.
You're handing this over to young international rescue agents and going, right, well, here's all the information you need to go and launch Thunderbird 3 for yourself.
Yep. Here's a book, here's a broom, get in there, fix it up, and get ready to send it up again.
Love that. Yeah, and I love that you've taken the approach of looking at it as like, well, if this was a realistic rocket, yeah, you'd have to make sure it was cooled down before it took off and things like that. I was wondering, I mean, we all want to know this. Could Thunderbird 3 exist in the real world? I'm going to close that down. I want to see your face when you give this answer. I want to know. Can we have a real Thunderbird 3? Will it happen in my lifetime?
Well, we basically do have a real Thunderbird 3 at the moment.
Yeah, it's so the special thing about Thunderbird 3 is that it's what you call a single stage to orbit. Like it's a complete vehicle that can, come up and then come down and be reusable. And we've not quite got there yet. Because obviously SpaceX are able to land their rockets and things like that, and like that's quite new. But a completely contained space vehicle that can launch, land, and then just launch again if it wanted to it is a bit out there. And also, if you go into the TV21 comics, because a lot of the original specifications that we use come from them, because that's whenever they originally dreamed them up. And it sort of talks about the various particle accelerator things that are coming down through these nacelles, which to explain how it can get to the sun so fast to save some probe and things like that. So a lot of that stuff is a bit fictional, but in terms of if you had something with enough thrust, like you could get it into space easily enough, and I'm sure with enough logic you can get it to land again. There's a game that's very close to all our hearts called Kerbal Space Program, and we've all tried it.
Yeah,
to various degrees of success.
Yes.
I remember being in AC's house and designing the fun probe, which
yes, the fun probe. That was a fun night, actually.
Yeah, fun probe and fire crash, and both of them ended up working pretty well.
Did they live up to their names? Were they both fun and crashing a little bit?
Yes.
Well, I think we also did a 0x, but like EX, as in it's not going to be around for very long.
This is an X0X. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very appropriate.
So but yeah, no, I'm sure you could have a single stage to orbit rocket. It's always the thing, I think, whenever you have a new series of Thunderbirds. And you sort of see it in the 98 film where some of the concepts actually show Thunderbird 3. They'll have the rocket as a booster section, and the real Thunderbird 3 would be a space plane docked beside it. And I always found that quite interesting because they're sort of trying to match, like, okay, so realistically you would need to have like a vehicle that could break off and then redock with this maybe to land again. But that's why I did somewhat respect also whenever you got the movie Thunderbird 3 and the Thunderbirds Are Go Thunderbird 3, they actually did keep the kind of, let's just keep a big massive space rocket and just keep it fairly like faithful to the original.
Now, speaking of alternate versions of Thunderbird 3, I have to ask about the interior, the set changes that go on between Series 1 and Series 2 for Thunderbird 3. It changes design quite dramatically. I was wondering if you had a preference or whether you could walk us through some of the design changes that go on.
Like, normally I prefer the season 1 designs. Just because they're more bolder, they're more colorful, and they sort of, I think particularly when you get to like Thunderbird 5, the original one makes more sense.
Yeah.
I never liked the bold kind of creamy yellow of Thunderbird 3. There's something about the silver and the way that they have the colored screens behind I like a lot more. AC, do you agree?
I do agree, Chris. Originally, I was no. When I first saw it and it got to the first season 2 episode that I saw that it appeared in, I just thought, oh, looks like the inside of a toaster or something. I'm not sure that I like this new chrome look everywhere, but it's really grown on me. And I look back at the Series 1 set and I was like, don't get me wrong, it's retro, it's fun, but those chairs are just hilariously impractical. Like, if you think about it, they're basically glorified stools with a little backrest on them. And if you can imagine launching for orbit while sitting on this little stool with no lumbar support and just thinking, this will be fine. Our spines are going to get crushed into dust, but let's not worry about it. Whereas the new version of the set has tiltable acceleration chairs, which make it feel a heck of a lot more practical and realistic. And that's probably, to be honest, why they put them in there, because originally, at the start of Series 1, before Trapped in the Sky, Scott and Alan were like 6 inches taller. And then, at the start of Series 2, it was like, but Dad, can we please do something about this? I'm starting to have to wear, clothes for 10-year-olds now because I've shrunk after every Thunderbird 3 launch. So that's probably why they do it.
I do really love in Sunprobe where like Scott and Tintin get these really like intricate acceleration chairs, and then Alan comes up and it is just a wooden stool, and he's just sitting there on the top of the space rocket. It does always intrigue me that the chairs in season 2, because it's Thunderbird 2 has the same chair, ignoring the launch sequence and things like that. They clearly spent a lot of money on those chairs because they're in the show all the way up until Joe 90. Like all that machined metal and stuff like that. So they really wanted to get their use out of them, but they're lovely chairs. But I think for me, it's like the season 2 Thunderbird 3 is the only season 2 design I kind of prefer over the other ones, because like, what's the wooden controls in Thunderbird 1 about? Like,
weird.
Yeah. I appreciate that they glued more things to the wall, but there was a kind of a nice simplicity thing to the set. Like, Scott can't reach them anyway.
So going back to the tech manual then, how have you sort of reasoned some of those design changes? Have you focused more so on Series 1 or trying to include a bit of both?
So
or how
every illustration and technical diagram is season 1. And the reason for that is, while you would think, okay, you'd want it to be the most up-to-date version, we have to kind of fudge that with what's the version of these sets that people are more familiar with. Also, the season 2 sets are very in flux. Like, the stuff that's in Thunderbirds Are Go and Thunderbird 6 does not match what's in the show. And particularly the Thunderbird 5 set, it changes. Like, walls get taken out, all sorts of places, whereas in season 1, it's very consistent. So we do cover all the season 1 sets. However, we always have a section about upgrades, and how we've sort of logically come about that is, I've always believed that there's like all the Thunderbirds are these prototypes. They're constantly being iterated on. Like, none of them are like final designs in many ways. And if the show was going to go on for like 5-10 years, the design of the Thunderbird would probably shift slightly over time to accommodate this, particularly the interiors. I know the exteriors are quite iconic, but and in my mind that makes them more special. Like, I've never liked stories where, I think in one of the comics they blow up Thunderbird 3 and then it's just not an issue.
They just rebuild it and it's exactly the same.
Whereas, again, covering one of the things I've been able to explore in Burnout is that when one of the Thunderbirds gets even somewhat minor damage, that's it out of commission, or that's that when it next goes out on a rescue, it's like it can't go at full speed or all that stuff. So like it sort of means that these craft are characters, and losing them is actually a high stakes. Like while you always need to save the people first, like losing a Thunderbird could cripple international rescue.
Yeah, and we get a taste of that in Terror in New York City for one. But
Mm.
the other thing, maybe on a slightly lower stakes level, but I think is worth pointing out, Chris, something that you brought up earlier was the various lettering, and indeed, Jack, you mentioned it with those model kits that you can select the version of the lettering that you prefer for Thunderbird 3 or any other craft that you happen to be building. And Chris has done something which I think is quite nice in the manual. He actually addresses the fact that the liveries of the craft do shift somewhat throughout the series. So you compare something like the changing 2 on the side of Thunderbird 2, or the fact that Thunderbird 1 has its markings in various spots in different episodes. Obviously, in terms of series production in real world, that's just a case of they're building another model. They put the things onto it. They get the model out onto set as quickly as possible.
They dropped it again.
They dropped it again. They've broken it. They're repairing it as good as they can. But we have to think about these things when we're writing a technical manual. So Chris has come up with a fantastic little explanation, which I will hand over to him to go into.
Yeah, well, there was a couple of different explanations. One of which, specifically in the Thunderbird 1 section, is that Thunderbird's 1 paintwork is literally blasted off because the thing is traveling at Mach 15. And as a result, they do, whenever they have to repaint it pretty frequently, they will sometimes like leave the black bars off or whatever. But generally, the whole idea behind the liveries is that they need to be really identifiable as rescue vehicles. Admittedly, it didn't work in Terror New York City, but in theory, if you have visual contact with Thunderbird 2, like, it's not a military craft. It's got a big Thunderbird 2 on the side, and same with Thunderbird 3, it's really visible. Thunderbird 4 is really visible. And then Thunderbird 1 is mostly grey because they have to constantly be repainting it. So it's one of those things. I think, like, a lot of stealth fighters do also need to be repainted pretty frequently as well for the same reason. So yeah, it sort of leans into that kind of angle of, okay, this is obviously just covering the model department constantly having to fix these things up. The way that I really love in the launch sequence where Thunderbird 3 is like Helvetica and then boom, Futura Bold. Like there's no getting around that, because there's actually, I think, maybe 4 versions of, there's 4 or 5 versions of Thunderbird 3's rotation around the the sides, because
you see it with the numbers in different orientations, and one side
so we've done
like
2 orientations, and then we've just kept it on a single rotation on the other side. In theory, you do see it vertical, and then you see it missing, and then obviously you see it in Helvetica in that one shot. So we could have left it off one of the sides, but I kind of wanted to keep it on because it looks like a mistake.
Yeah. I think when you're displaying it, you want the best version as it's going to look on a shelf, and you do have to keep that in mind when you're designing products like this. It can't always look it literally can't look exactly as it did in the TV series, because it doesn't look the same. That's what it comes down to.
I know, like, we had this behind the scenes battle with Thunderbird 1 because I wanted to go for complete realism, and it was okay, well, I want the T, because I wanted to do the launch model, I wanted the T on the nose and the little Thunderbird that's under that, and everyone was like, hell no, and vetoed it. And the only way that they were able to
this,
the only way that they were able
to, people do not like that T on the nose cone when you see it entrapped. People do not.
Well,
like
the way that people were able to logically sort of get me to off the ledge of this is that they sort of pointed out that version of the model doesn't have TB1 there. It gains it throughout the show. So if I was being completely accurate, I'd have to leave a bunch of these off. And I was like, well, you sort of want that, otherwise that feels like a mistake. So, like, I sort of agreed to remove that underside, because it's also got T1, I think, on the wing as well. The same way that Thunderbird 2 has it on the alternate sides. But this is the sort of the behind-the-scenes drama. Whenever, like, you're sitting there and being like, oh, do they care or not? Meanwhile, we're at, like, loggerheads trying to...
Chris and AC are don't talk to Chris and AC today. They're having it.
There was literally with
on the side of Thunderbird 3. It's a real problem.
Without exaggerating, there was one night where Chris brought over 2 prototype models of Thunderbird 3, and we set them on the mantelpiece in my living room. and we had like the HD screen grabs on my TV beside them, and we were going, that's Sunprobe. That is a very particular shade of orange. It's closer to the one on the left. Here's Ricochet. That's practically red. That's closer to the one on the right. Which one do I actually like better out of these two models? Do you have a preference? I'm not sure.
You see, well, the two funny things about that was that we were doing that for ages. I had just come from Ryan Wade's, who had just done the same thing. Ryan Wade does a lot of my 3D printing and modeling over on the Doctor and Blake 7 side. So I just spent I then bring it to you. We do exactly the same thing. And then I think we're watching MacGyver. And like I'm watching MacGyver, and then I look over at you, and you're still staring at these two Thunderbird 3s.
Yeah, I was, because it's like I can't enjoy MacGyver because I'm still trying to work out this conundrum of which of these two craft actually looks better and which people are going to appreciate more.
You boys, honestly, you boys and your toys. Goodness me. Well, I'm glad to know that that's the level of scrutiny that goes into it. Goodness me. I did want to also talk a little bit about the crew of Thunderbird 3 so that we can avoid any more discussion about the size of lettering and the shade of orange. The crew of Thunderbird 3. AC, you have provided a lot of the character profiles and biographies for the technical manual. I was wondering if you could tell us what especially makes Alan Tracy or any of the other Tracy brothers capable of flying a craft like Thunderbird 3. What is their training? Because they all have a certain amount of space exploration. It's kind of in the blood, with Jeff being their dad, so they all like a bit of space travel, don't they?
It's almost like they were destined to follow that sort of line. You can't really have your dad being one of the first people on the moon and then just like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to go off and be a greengrocer. Not that there's anything wrong with being a greengrocer. Like, that it's an essential service. But anyway, yes. So in the character biographies, I did have to include a part that says that they all attend their astronaut training at various times. And I'm not going to spoil anything now as to which one did it first and so forth. But particularly when it came to Alan and John, who were going to be operating the craft most frequently, they would be the most familiar with its systems. And I think there's sort of been an unspoken rule or an open secret of the fact that despite Alan being the youngest of the Tracy brothers, he's the most naturally gifted of the pilots. Like if they'd all started on the same base level and just said, right, go into this and fly this craft, Alan would have picked it up faster than anybody else because he just has that natural aptitude for it. That's not to say that he's objectively better than anyone else. And of course, as we know throughout the series, he does, generally speaking, take a co-pilot with him to keep him on course, and strictly as a rule. But no, I've gone through each of those. Gordon is obviously a slightly different end of the scale because while the others were doing Air Force training and astronaut training and things like that, Gordon was doing aquanaut training, and he then, of course, would have had to do astronaut training eventually as well so that he could also go on space missions. And we know that he appears in Thunderbird 5 and Ricochet, and you don't get to do that unless you've had formal astronaut training. So, of course, he's included as well there. And we've had to go through and just specify this. And as you pointed out recently, Jack, in The Uninvited, there is a throwaway line of dialogue that John mentions that Scott probably doesn't have to do his spell of satellite duty until he's fit. Do we take that Scott occasionally fills in for Thunderbird 5? Do we use it to say that he just means that Scott's doing the escort flight as a co-pilot and then coming straight back again? You could read it either way. And in fact, as we know from some of the spin-off material, such as Terror from the Stars, the John Thaden novel, that at the beginning of it, John gets knocked out on Thunderbird 5, and Scott goes up to take over control with Alan while Alan stays in Thunderbird 3. So there's all sorts of little sources. You look into this information. What kind of experience do the guys have? What we have on screen, secondary sources. You try to incorporate as much as possible, but at the end of the day, you have a finite amount of space to tell these biographies without getting bogged down in the fine details.
Absolutely. And what's going to be special about these biographies in particular, and indeed the whole technical manual, it's worth pointing out, it's written from the perspective of the characters rather than a sort of third party coming in and talking about international rescue. You said before how it's very important that Jeff and the other characters are the ones who are relaying this information. And I was wondering how you went about sort of incorporating all the different characters' voices into imparting this information in universe.
I think that's something that's really interesting because Chris came up with the idea to do it in character very early on. We were chatting about something one day, and he said, by the way, how would you feel about doing the Thunderbirds technical manual from character perspective rather than third person? And I sort of thought, unusual. We haven't done that for any of the other ones. But then International Rescue is a special case. It's not a global organization with thousands of people working in it that they would have to provide a generic training manual for everyone. This is a small family-run business, if you like, where the only people who essentially know of its existence are the 10 people who live on the island and a few other people around the world sworn to secrecy and a network of secret agents. So this is going to be written by the people who live on that island for any other new recruits. And as soon as I put that together in my head, I thought, that makes perfect sense. Let's do that. That sounds like a fantastic idea. And then it was just a case of drawing on 30-odd years of watching Thunderbirds to think, well, how would this character relay this information, and to draw it in very broad brushstrokes. Gordon's going to be the one who's maybe a little more humorous about it. Scott's maybe going to be a little more serious, but with the odd quip. Brains is going to be very technical, and Jeff's going to be the proud, founder, chief of operations, who is determined, but he also, of course, has to relay a bit of that backstory of why International Rescue exists. And without going into too much detail, that's not an easy thing for him to talk about, I think it's fair to say. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah.
I think for me, it's very much like, because AC has a lot of experience basically doing prose as characters, because he did A21 for a bunch of years, all the short stories that AC used to write. For me, it's very much like you do try to read it, whenever you sort of write it, you read it in the character's voice, and if it sounds weird, you don't write it. Like, if it's not something like, that like Gordon Tracy would say, like, you wouldn't be like, oh, that's busted no cap, it's just, it just doesn't feel right whenever you read it out. So and like you sort of get the feeling that they're trying to, like, obviously tone it down and be like, here's an information thing, but then Gordon will make a joke, or Scott will be like, Virgil wanted to paint Thunderbird 1, but we were like, no, I didn't want it taken off like a Picasso, I think was one of the lines. So there's a little elements, and I think particularly when you get to the stuff that AC wrote as Parker and things like that, you can have a lot of fun with it as well.
Love it. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that I'm definitely looking forward to reading. Fantastic. Well, everyone, if you enjoy this kind of chat about all the technical details of Thunderbird 3 and all the other craft, definitely head along to the Gerry Anderson store and pick up a copy of the Technical Operations Manual. The special edition sold out very, very quickly indeed. Standard edition is still available, which has all of the lovely juicy details still in there, and I believe that's going to start shipping very, very soon. I don't think people have to wait too long to receive their copies of it, so look forward to that. But we've heard a lot of talk. We've heard a lot of information here, a lot of insights from the so-called experts. And I just want to see how much Chris and AC really know about Thunderbird 3 specifically. So it's time for us to have a quiz. And the two of you are going to be working together on this. It's going to be you two just trying to work together, in the same way that you would argue about what color orange the craft's supposed to be. But we want
it's this color of orange.
Eurostyle build or microgramma.
All right.
It's a joke because they're the same.
Steady on, steady on. Right. So, and everyone in the chat, you are very welcome to play along as well. You can try and help Chris and AC out with coming up to answers to these questions, or you could try and throw them off if you feel like doing that. But I am proud is the wrong word. I am here to present Thunderbird Trivia. Thunderbird Trivia. It's like
Thunderbird Trivia.
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 So, 10 questions. Nice and simple. Here's your first question. Who is the only Tracy brother never seen aboard Thunderbird 3 on screen? Now, to give you a bit of thinking time, it's worth saying that we are looking just at the original 32 episodes of the TV show. So we're not looking at the feature films. We're not looking at comic strips. We're not looking at the anniversary episodes, just the original 32 episodes of Thunderbirds. Who is the only Tracy brother never seen aboard Thunderbird 3 on screen? Chaps, I'll leave it to you to deliberate, maybe rule out your options one by one. I think
we'll do that in a second. I know who it is, but just as a quick segue from this on the exact same topic, if anyone has seen Century 21 Films' latest video about the road safety films from Thunderbirds from the 1960s, how cool was it to see Jeff in Thunderbird 2? I mean, that was just awesome.
That was cool.
Sure. I love that. Right. So, who's the only Tracy brother seen aboard? Never seen.
I think it's one of those Mandela effect things because I think I know the answer as well. Do we want to just go for it?
Well,
it's Gordon, isn't it?
It's Gordon, yeah. Because Thunderbird, Scott always co-pilots Thunderbird 3, so we know he's definitely been aboard. John appears aboard it on the Mighty Atom when he's returning to Earth from Thunderbird 5. Virgil appears on board in Ricochet. Gordon does not appear on board, though he does appear in Thunderbird 5 on Ricochet, and that, obviously Alan is the primary pilot most of the time. So
yeah, Gordon appears on Thunderbird 5 speaking in John's voice, or it's the other way around, isn't it?
John speaks with Gordon's voice, but again, Century 21 Films did an edit of that where they fixed it.
Amazing. So you're saying Gordon Tracy? Final answer?
I think so.
That is correct. You get a point. A lovely point, yes. And here's the evidence to prove it. There's Scott and Alan sitting aboard Thunderbird 3. There's John and Brains, and then Virgil and Brains, which always quite jarring. Very strange to see Virgil aboard Thunderbird 3, in my opinion. But
I always love whenever you sort of get them swapping Thunderbirds. It's that the sort of feeling of like it's a little bit special, but it's also like they are like multi-talented as well. I wish they'd done it more.
Yeah, well, there you go. Next up, how many episodes feature an appearance of Thunderbird 3 outside of the titles and credits? Because obviously it's in the titles and credits of every episode, but we're talking rescue missions, cameos, any slight glimpse you get of Thunderbird 3.
Okay, there are obviously the
three actual rescues.
Yep, 3 actual rescues. So that is Sun Probe, the Imposters, Ricochet. Then we have other satellite missions for Thunderbird 3 with the Uninvited, the Mighty Atom, Danger at Ocean Deep. Cry Wolf is you see it in the launch bay. Security Hazard, you also see it in the launch bay beyond just stock footage.
The 2 movies, because there's the reveals in the movies.
This is looking at the TV series. Just looking at the TV series.
Give or take 1 million, you see at launch.
Yeah. Is it really just 9?
Is it 9? Well, 9 out of 32 is about a third of the time, almost.
Surely there's at least one where it's just docked with Thunderbird 5. I feel like there's a...
Are we going to go through every episode? No, we're not going to spend time going through every episode. Just a quick thing. Is there anything else? Any plot point?
Everyone in the chat has their answers. I think 9, 8, or 7.
It's 9.
Let's go with 9, and then we can hang our heads in shame if we're wrong.
All right, 9 is your final answer.
I'm leaning towards 10, but we'll go with 9.
AC, you ready?
Yeah, let's go 9. I'm with Chris. I think it maybe is one more that I've forgotten.
It's 10.
What do we know? Oh, the
By my
Cham Cham.
count, it's Sunprobe, The Uninvited, The Mighty Atom, The Imposters, Cry Wolf, Danger Ocean Deep, The Cham Cham, which is where you have that quick shot of Thunderbird 3 dot with Thunderbird 5, Security Hazard, of course, Ricochet, and Give or Take a Million.
This is the frustrating thing, because it's like my brain, because I have to be hunting for screenshots and things like that. And I think my brain was like, oh, there's a quick shot in the Cham Cham because it's in the opening bit where they're hearing the music. And you've got, because I remember pulling, there's a shot of Alan and John, which I split together in the manual. Actually, I've condensed it so it's a big, nice long shot. So I should have known that one. But fair.
We were close. We were close.
You were close.
Like, we were right. We just kind of settled on the wrong one.
Yeah, well, you knew it. You had a feeling, and I was only looking for the number. You could have gone for it, but no. Sadly, you've got one correct answer and one wrong answer. Sadly, but never mind. Maybe you can redeem yourself with this next one. In The Imposters, what does the label say above this device used to find Elliot?
Well, I should know this because I did a whole bit about it for Century 21 Tech Talk. So logic would say it's something like auto scanner.
Yeah.
It's
not astroscope.
I think it actually is radio something, even though it's visual, which doesn't make much sense.
Like radio telescope.
Or telly something.
Or it's just going to be like, the EM241 that's, that Thunderbirds loves.
If it ends up just being
would I do that to you?
Pardon?
Would I really make you guess something like that?
Yes.
You want to take a guess? A telly something? Telly scanner?
Let's go with telly scanner. That sounds very Thunderbirdy.
All right. Telescanner is your final answer?
It's not going to be. It's going to be something totally different.
Radar fix.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Well, I phrased that question quite carefully. I merely said that was the label above it. I didn't necessarily say that that's what the device is called, because to be honest, radar fix sounds a bit vague to me.
Well, in fairness, they do actually show it as a radar with a fix on it before it switches to video, so never mind.
Just to show you some of the examples from the chat, Shadow Moth says super zooming in a fire.
That's accurate.
What the super magnification?
Vasoscope. There we go. So radar fix. So sadly, you get nothing for that. You're on 1 point so far. Can you pick it up with this next one?
Can we get a bonus point for saying that when it switches between radar and video view, the lighting on the set completely changes between shots?
No.
Oh, worth a try.
Now, well, try this one. Which of these items is not seen in Thunderbird 3's lounge area during Sunprobe? Is it A, a coffee machine, B, a reclining chair, or C, a bookshelf? So obviously in this image, you're looking at the lounge from one angle.
Yeah,
maybe the reverse angle's got some different things in it.
This could be, you could argue, a trick, because they actually rearranged the set for the reclining chairs. And in the manual, I sort of explained that because the acceleration chairs disappear basically for the rest of the thing. I think there's maybe one, but it's a different design. So if it's not two separate levels, and they have to go up to the reclining chairs, which you could, for this, I'm going to presume it's the coffee machine you never see. But the argument could be made that it's also the reclining chairs.
I think the reclining chair is seen, though, because when it takes off, you see Tintin and Scott sitting in the reclining chairs, and I'm going to assume that
there's also a reclining chair left over from Stingray that you also see in the villa there. There's a third chair in there is the thing. But there is some sort of reclining chair in there, so I think coffee machine is the thing that's not seen.
Yeah, but...
Because there are books.
Do you definitely see books in that shot of Scott and Tintin on the reclining chairs?
Yeah, I modeled them. There's like two little shelves with stuff on them at either side.
Okay, I'm going to go on the assumption that there is one lounge and the stuff just moves around within the episode. It's got to be coffee machine then. I'll go with your logic on that.
All right, coffee machine, final answer. It is indeed a coffee machine that we do
Yeah,
not
see, that's the other recliner, but then the two acceleration chairs are sort of in there, but they're also not.
There we are. Well, there you go. You got that one correct. Well done. You do know your stuff about Thunderbird 3 or your little
Like, we could have just
details.
said coffee machine, but we made that way more complicated than it needed to be.
I was a bit worried there. I was like, oh, goodness, he's talking about other areas. Is there a coffee machine I've not spotted? Maybe there is a coffee machine on Thunderbird 3.
Maybe there's a coffee machine on Thunderbird 5.
I would hope so.
Yeah, that might have been added. Maybe there's stuff in TV21 that you never saw.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Right. Well, next question. What color are the curtains in the roundhouse?
My immediate thought was blue.
Well, again, it's a different model, and they're red in the season 2 model, but this is the season 1 one.
Yeah. It's blue or yellow. I'm
going to veer towards blue. They're either blue or tan in my mind, but seeing as we both said blue, let's go blue.
Yeah.
All right, going with blue. It is indeed blue. Well done. Now, you mentioned the Series 2 model. Strictly speaking, it's not a Series 2 model, because in the TV show, they only ever recycle the footage from Series 1 whenever they show
so it's the movie
in Series 2. So strictly speaking, it's exclusively Thunderbirds Argo and Thunderbird 6, where you see the red and blue curtains on 2 different levels. But when we're talking about the TV series, we are just talking about a lovely pair of blue curtains. Yes.
That completely scale-breaking house.
Yes, it doesn't make a lick of sense.
I can sort of see why they put it. Like, again, we have an explanation as to why it becomes 1 and 2 levels in the manual.
Yeah.
The reason why the railing is that massive, who is anyone's guess?
Moving swiftly along.
You're moving along. How many lives does Thunderbird 3 save over the course of the television series?
Can we get clarification on this question that we are not referring to the lives of the international rescue crew aboard Thunderbird 3 itself?
How many lives does Thunderbird 3 save over the course of the television series?
Well, okay, in the sense that it is not protecting the crew from the vacuum and radiation of space. or is it? We just need to know which way you're falling there so we know how many people to count.
I am not including the crew of Thunderbird.
Okay, perfect. Right, 3 solar knots.
Yeah.
One space tracker guy.
Yeah, and then Ricochet and
2 other guys from Ricochet, and just quickly totting up to make sure that we haven't missed something really obvious. Like,
yeah, they didn't redirect a meteorite heading towards Manhattan, did they?
But it was instrumental in recording the sound wave that helped them overcome the danger ocean deep thing, which is 3 more people, which would actually make it 9. But I'm not sure that Jack would be that pedantic about it.
No.
Thank you.
If you're going to say how many people did Thunderbird 3 directly save over the course of the television series, then I would say...
It saves John's life every month when it brings supplies to Thunderbird 5. I think let's stick with 6 before we dig ourselves into a hole, but...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay, let's say 6. If it's
right.
more than 6, then we have given you reason for it.
It's true, but there's no need for any of that because I also counted 6. Yes, the 3 solar nauts in Sun Probe, Elliot in The Imposters, and Ricochet and Loman in Ricochet. Very well done. You get a point for that.
Sure could use a cool one, eh?
Next up, Thunderbird 3's original control panel features 3 rows of 6 buttons in 3 different colors. In order from top to bottom, what color is each row of buttons?
Is this the control panel? Oh, right. Yes, I see.
Yes.
Okay, it's blue and red are definitely 2 of the colors.
Yeah, and it's white, I think, is the other one.
Yeah. Now, which order is it? 3 rows of 6 buttons and 3 colors. I think red and blue are beside each other, but whether there's white above or below those, I'm not 100% sure.
Let's go blue, red, white.
Now I'm starting to think they're yellow and not white.
Yeah, is it lighting? Is it the really bad telecine of the 90s broadcast that's throwing me, or is it white?
Or are they brown?
No, they wouldn't be brown.
That would be silly.
Yeah, no, that would be weird. That would be series 2.
Brian Button. That's like someone has spilt minstrels all over the thing. See, now I want to. But anyway,
I'm gonna veer towards it's. You're right. It's either yellow or white.
You said white first. Let's go white. And what order from top to bottom? Shall we say blue, red, white?
Let's go red, blue, white.
Red, blue, white. Okay.
Red, blue, white is your final answer. I'm afraid.
Oh,
it's red, blue, and black. Which, well done to Tom in the chat. Did get it correct.
See, Brian's not looking Brian's not looking like a bad answer anymore. If they're actually,
it's like I'm frustrated because I'm mad at myself. I've had to do that console like 2-3 times, so I should know this at this point because I had to do it for the Haynes manual as well. So I'm disappointed. I'm going to do some reflecting. I'm going to go into the hills and I'm going to be like, who am I?
Well, I'm not. I'm just going to say, oh well.
Oh well, pick yourself up, move along. Let's see what else is coming up. How about this one? Complete this line. But Scott, the blank blank of Thunderbird 3 isn't powerful enough.
Transmitter complex, I think.
Is it radio transmitter? It's not safety beam.
No, you're right. It's radio transmitter.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get the whole thing. But Scott, the radio transmitter of Thunderbird 3 isn't powerful enough. I'd say the Thunderbird 2 transmitter would stand a much better chance. Yeah, I think it is radio transmitter. Or is it radio complex?
It's radio transmitter.
Are you sure? They definitely say radio complex at one point.
Okay.
It's not.
I think it's transmitter. I think I'm always willing to be wrong, but complex doesn't make much sense to me.
I know what it is. It's Scott says the radio complex of Thunderbird 3 would be ideal, and then Virgil says, but Scott, the radio transmitter of Thunderbird 3 isn't powerful enough.
Okay, let's have a look.
The answer is the transmission range of Thunderbird 3 isn't powerful enough.
Virgil, I'm not friends with you anymore.
Sorry, guys. This is tough. I'm glad I'm catching you out.
Was I
yeah,
right?
no,
Was I right about the radio complex line? Was that a thing?
Yes, I believe that's correct. Yes. But you don't get a point for that. But how about this next one? Identify the episodes that these 3 shots of Thunderbird 3's launch sequence come from.
Okay, well, 2 of them, in fact, all 3 of them are actually easy. So A has to be Sun Probe because Tintin's in the middle. B has to be Danger at Ocean Deep because Brains is beside him. And C has to be Give or Take a Million because it's the only time that Alan's by himself in the series and it's actually recycled footage from Thunderbirds Are Go, the movie. Boom! Nailed it!
You think so?
I did it so flawlessly that Chris has actually disappeared.
Chris's camera has dropped out, so I think AC, you're gonna have to stand in and take the executive decision for the team.
Okay, I will deliberate it a little bit longer. So C has to be the movie. Which means that it has to be Give or Take a Million, because Alan's by himself and the checkerboard rings around this Thunderbird 3 supports are red instead of yellow, which they only are in the movie, and therefore they can only be stock footage from the movie. I'm confident with that. I'm also confident that A has to be Sun Probe because it's the only time that Tintin goes on to Thunderbird 3 in the series. The middle one, there's a very small possibility that could be Alan and Scott, but I really don't think it is. I believe that it's Alan and Brains. And Chris has rejoined us at the critical moment. Did you get any of that rationale, Chris?
No.
Right. So
Okay.
I thought I just
short version.
The short version: A is Sun Probe, B is Danger at Ocean Deep, C is Give or Take a Million.
I'm down with that because it's Alan on his own, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if you
isn't Alan on its own because actually I can give or take. Yeah, because it's the movie striping on the right one.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, you were right. A was Sun Probe, B was Danger at Ocean Deep, and C was Give or Take a Million. Very well done. Very expertly deduced. Very nice.
Sorry about that, gents. My entire Wi-Fi decided to cut out for a second.
Yeah, it's just too much Thunderbird 3 goodness.
I'm sorry, Chris. We're not receiving your transmission. You're coming in strength 1 by 5.
Very good. Very good. Right. Your last question for the evening. After Nikki's Christmas wish is granted in Give or Take a Million, where does Thunderbird 3 go after it launches? Is it A, the craft is immediately ordered to return to base? Is it B, Alan docks with Thunderbird 5 to relieve John for Christmas? Is it C, Thunderbird 3 takes Nikki home to Coralville Hospital? Or is it D, we don't know.
I would like to see Thunderbird 3 return to Nikki to Coralville Hospital. Just obliterate it on the way down.
Bear in mind that I did do an alternate version of this where Nikki actually chooses to see Thunderbird 5 being launched. And then we just see a stock shot of Thunderbird 5 in orbit, and he still says it's the greatest thrill of his life. He's an easy to please kid, that's for sure. Right. We don't see it being immediately ordered to return to base because the second it goes, Jeff starts telling the story about how it all started. So we don't know that it docks with Thunderbird 5. John is not there for Christmas, but if it happens after the episode, we wouldn't know. Yeah. And we don't see Nikki going home, so it's got to be D.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with that.
Yeah,
you're going with D. You don't know. Well, the answer is D. We don't know. Thunderbird 3 jets off into space, and we never see it again.
Canonically, it was never seen again. Yes.
Yeah.
It came back all weirdly red from Thunderbirds Are Go.
But of course, Thunderbirds Are Go takes place before Series 2.
So it does. Yes. Quite
right. Come on now. But that was Thunderbird 3via. And I believe you scored 7 out of 10, if my math is correct.
Well, we didn't want to show off and get a perfect score. I mean, that would just be ridiculous.
Yeah, sure. And I'm curious to know how well everyone in the chat did as well. Let us know your score if you were keeping track. I saw a lot of correct answers in there, so clearly there are a lot of Thunderbird 3 experts out there. So we're very glad that we had you along this evening. And indeed, that neatly brings us to the end of our little show. We hope you all enjoyed tuning in. I have to say a big thank you to Chris and AC for indulging my awful little quiz, as well as for
evil little quiz.
It was very nasty. But also thank you for sharing your expertise on not only designing the Thunderbird 3 collectible, which, as I said before, pre-order it now from the Gerry Anderson store, and you can get that special discounted price, but it only lasts for this weekend, so make sure to go ahead and pick it up. But also, we talked a little bit about the Thunderbirds technical manual, which is coming out very, very soon. You can also look forward to some more 4K Thunderbirds releases coming to cinemas and to Steelbook very, very soon indeed, as well as lots of other models and collectibles and even pin badges that are available on the Gerry Anderson store. Well worth going over there, taking a look, have a little bit of a shop, and maybe treat yourself to a Thunderbirds treat.
You deserve it.
You definitely do. And particularly you boys deserve suffering through the heat to get us through to the end of today's stream. Thank you all very, very much for joining us. And well, I don't know, are you gonna fly on closer towards the sun, or are you heading home for a nice cold beverage?
I sure can't wait to take a dip in that pool.
I don't think we dare go any closer.
All right, well, fair enough. Well, thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you all very, very soon indeed. Bye for now.
I expect Scott's the only one allowed to pilot that one.
Well,